Hi, this is Michelle with Michelle Bell's Gaming, and today I want to talk to you about my Japanese computer setup. So this is my kind of super desk of Japanese computers, and I want to just kind of quickly go through and explain each one of them, what everything is we've got here. So, of course, right here you can see I've got some keyboards. I've got some other keyboards on the other side. Most of this is PC 98. I've also got PC 88 and MSX, so we'll go ahead and show you these here. So this here is an MSX2. This is a Sony Hitbit HB500, and this is a model that actually has a keyboard that you can see here. This is actually an external keyboard, which is very rare for MSX. Most of them do not have that. And then above this we've got the monitor here for this MSX. I can use it for other stuff, but I'm mainly use it for the MSX. This is an NEC PC TV 354, and this is a really nice monitor because it has, well, I'll show you later, but it has RGB, which is really handy. Down below here we've got a PC 9821 V13. Now, the 9821 series is kind of the in-between like the standard American style DOS Windows 95 computers and the your IBM compatible, and the Japanese NEC format, which was very different. The 21 models usually have CD-ROM drives. They also usually have the ability to have IDE instead of SCSI for the hard drives. This one does have an IDE hard drive in it. It has Windows 3.1 and DOS 6 on it, as well as it can run games, obviously PC98 games, with these two 5 1/4 inch floppy drives that I installed in there. Those came from some other computer. Yeah, so that's nice because a 9821 with 5 1/4 inch floppy drives is kind of rare. So yeah, and these are actually much faster machines as a Pentium. Okay, over here, this one here is a Fujitsu, and this is actually not as old. This is a Pentium. You can see here, this is a Pentium 2. The big draw of this one is that it is a DOS machine. It's capable of doing like the actual American style DOS and English Windows 95 or 98. This one actually has Windows 98 on it, and you can also see it has a DVD drive, and inside there's an ISA card, and so there is a Sound Blaster sound card. I'll explain that a little bit. This one here is another 9821, and this one has two 3.5 inch floppy drives. The cover is missing because the cover that it came with actually was only for one drive, and I don't have the cover that goes for the two drives. So yeah, one of those drives actually came out of this one down here, and I moved it into here to give two drives because you can't really run a lot of games with one drive. Most of them require two drives. This one here, what you're seeing here, this is a 9801BX, and this is one I just got yesterday, I guess it was, and it has 3.5 inch floppy drives. This is a 9801, so this is the older models of NEC, which are not as compatible with your IBM kind of thing. You know, you don't usually have IDE, although this one actually does have IDE, which is interesting, and it actually came with a hard drive, a 250 megabyte hard drive, which was really nice, and a graphics accelerator. Right now I'm actually installing Windows 3.1 on this computer, so that's what you see going on here. And this one actually came with this keyboard here, which is kind of rare. You don't usually get them with keyboards when you're buying them used. And with this mouse, and this mouse has a little switch here on the side to change the speed. So you see the mouse is going like this, flip the switch, and it goes a little slower, flip it again, and it goes even slower. So that's kind of cool. Okay, next. This here, I'll see if I can turn it sideways a little bit for you here. This is an Epson 286VF And the Epson 286VF is Epson's sort of knockoff PC98. It doesn't have the NEC BIOS. Instead, all of the BIOS options are on these little switches inside, which is kind of annoying. But in general, this is a good little machine. I got it for about $100 because it had a MIDI card in it, which is worth almost that much on its own. And also had a sound card, which is kind of rare. Down here, this is my 3.5-inch external floppy drives. I use this on these machines that have the 5.25, so that I have both. And I'll explain that more in a second. This is a 9801DX, and this is a 286. No hard drive. It is possible to do a SCSI hard drive. I don't have the stuff for that. And it has two 5.25-inch floppy drives. What's on this monitor here is actually it's this one right now, and it's playing Ease 2. And I'll turn on the sound a little bit here so you can hear. And we'll go in there. I'll push the right button on the keyboard. There we are. Probably get myself killed. I didn't. Good. Of course, the blinking that you're seeing is because of the refresh rate. This is a 31 kilohertz monitor, and this is a 24 kilohertz monitor. So you can see there's kind of a difference with that. And then down here is a PC88, which is NEC's sort of 8-bit prequel. Turn that down. The 8-bit prequel to the PC98. The 98s are 16-bit and 32-bit, and then you get to, Pentium. But these are 8-bit machines, and they come with two 5.25-inch floppy drives. And they run a lot of your sort of early classics, especially a lot of Falcom stuff and so on, which I've got a bunch of. And then here are some more keyboards. This is an old PC98 keyboard. This is a Windows keyboard that I use for the Fujitsu. Also, I have some mice. The mice for the NEC machines are different, so I've got a couple of those. I've got here a Microsoft Sidewinder gamepad, and then this is the gamepad that I use for the Japanese games. They actually run sort of like the Atari standard gamepads. Okay, now we're going to go around to the back. Before I forget to mention it here, we also have three other items. These are my speakers that I use. These are Edirol, which is Roland speakers. This is an SC88 Pro MIDI synthesizer, which is a really, really great MIDI synthesizer. And I can use that with the Fujitsu down here for just standard Windows MIDI, or I can use it with the PC98 now that I have the MIDI card, but there's not that many games that use it. And then this here is a data tape recorder for loading up tape games on the MSX. Now here we are at the back of the computer, and yes, this looks like an absolute mess. But actually it's not quite as bad as it looks because of just the camera angles and so on. In the room, it doesn't take up too much extra space. It just looks like it does. This is actually my bedroom, so it does kind of take up most of the bedroom, but I had empty space anyway. Okay, so the back of our 31 kilohertz monitor here. This is the NEC that you see, and right now I just have this is the 98, the DX. Right now I just have two SCSI boards in there because sometimes I swap these boards around. These boards are actually designed to be pretty easy to remove. They're called C-Bus, which is similar to ISA, but not. But the nice thing about them is that they actually slide in from the back, so they're very easy to swap out whenever you want to. And then this is the back of the 88. I know you can add cards to this, but I've never actually owned any add-on cards for it. There's not really much that I need for that. Here we've got the back of this Epson, and you can see here this is the sound card for it. This is an add-on for different kinds of floppy disks, external floppy disks, And what's here is the actual 3.5-inch floppy disk that you saw. And usually I'll just swap this between the different computers because most of them have this port. You can see here, it's right here. The 21s don't have it, and this one doesn't have it as well. But several of the other ones have it. On my 21 that I have down here, I actually installed one, but we'll get back to that. Okay, so that's what this is. Now onto this one here. This is the BX that I was telling you is a 486. Inside it right now we've got a sound card. This sound card is called a 26 sound card. It's an FM sound card, and this is actually a clone, kind of a knockoff. This one is also a clone. NEC made their own board. It's called the PC 9801-26, and that was the soundboard. And they also made later ones called the 86, and there's a 103, and I think there's something else as well, but I don't remember. The 26 is kind of a standard one. Usually gives you two joystick ports and audio, which is usually stereo. And they also usually have a speaker built in that you can adjust here if you want to actually have the sound coming out. This one actually has a 26 card built in. That's why this line out here you see is. Like I said, this one does not, so we have a sound card in it. That's the one that actually came with it. Here is our Roland MIDI, which I'm going to try out later on in Windows 3.1. And what you see here is a graphics accelerator card. So that allows you to use higher resolutions than the PC98 is normally capable of showing. And the way that works, it's really kind of old school solution. This is the video out from your 98, and it goes by a cable in to the graphics accelerator card, and then you plug your monitor in here, so you've got an out, and that goes to your monitor, which is right there. So you basically take the video and it pipes it in through the graphics accelerator card, and when you're in just the normal PC98 mode, it just goes straight through, pass through to the monitor. When you're in Windows or something and you want to use the graphics accelerator, it then switches and stops taking it from there and starts using it directly from there and sends it to there. This cable is really yellowed. This particular model was really badly cigarette damaged. I mostly got it cleaned up, but these cables are kind of a lost cause in that sense. This one is the 21 that you saw, the 9821. And what you see here, this is kind of an interesting little setup here. This is a 86 board, which I was mentioning a little bit ago. And you can see it's got more sound options. It's got a mic input and line input, and also got a volume and one joystick port. What's really nice about them is that they have, they can also do kind of a wave sound, so you can, or PCM, so you can actually use this as an MP3 audio output. If you're in Windows and you've got an MP3 player or a WAV file or something like that, you can actually use that for it. And then this is an open slot. What's in here is an actual IDE to compact flash adapter. So instead of having a hard drive, a physical hard drive in here, I've got this little flash adapter, and I can put in a 1 GB flash card in here. It'll go up to 2 GB before this computer just stops and can't read it. But anyway, this 1 GB card has all of your data from your hard drive stored directly on here, and you can take it out. Sorry, I just put my finger in front of the camera there. You can take it out. You can put it in a Windows machine. You can copy files to it, as long as you use a special program called Convert AT. But anyway, you can copy files onto it, put it back in, and then you've got your hard drive. So you don't have to use floppies or anything like that to install stuff. And what a lot of people do is they download whole hard drive images from the internet, put them on the flash card, put it right in the system, and they're ready to go. Here is the back of the Fujitsu DOS machine, and I've got installed a Sound Blaster card, and then this here is the MIDI port for that. It's it gives you MIDI and also allows you to plug in a gamepad if you want to. And I actually have, it's hidden down here, I've got a Sidewinder joystick as well. Not much else other interesting about that, other than just the MIDI and the Sound Blaster card. This actually has its own internal sound card, and it actually also has a joystick port, but it turned out that it was not compatible with DOS. It works fine in Windows, but it doesn't work in DOS, so I actually got this ISA card because it does work really, really well in DOS. Over here, this is the back of the PC TV that I was telling you about, and you can see it's got your monitor input, so you can use your 98 PCs with it, but you've also got RGB, so if you've got an RGB system like a video game console or the MSX or something, you can do that. Then it's also got your standard AV, which doesn't look great, but it's useful. And then you've also got video, your standard UHF, VHF. Down here, this is the back of the Sony. There's an add-on port. There's a standard RF output. There's AV output. This is the RGB output right here. And then this thing right here is the tape, and so on. And this is one of the ones that I kind of like. It actually has power built into it, so you can plug your monitor into it, and when you turn your MSX on, your monitor just comes on automatically. And then lastly here, sorry if it's a little bit blurry, this is the big 21 that I've got, and connected to that I've got this printer, which I didn't show you that. I'll come back to that and I'll show you that, but it's not that important. But you got a printer here, and then down here you've also got the same kind of deal as earlier. We've got our graphics output to a graphics accelerator board, and this allows you to get much higher resolutions. This particular one is really pretty good, so if you were to run Windows 3.1 or even, well, you can sort of do it in 3.1. You can definitely do it in Windows 95. You can have a full, 1024 by 1280 by 1024. Yeah, you can do that. And then here's another one of those 86 boards that I mentioned, with the really good quality sound. And then this is the port for the external floppy drives, which is nice. So that's generally it. I'm going to then quickly show you the printer. So this is an NEC printer. It's called a PR101E2, and it's a dot matrix printer, and it sounds exactly like you would expect a dot matrix printer to sound. I don't have any paper set up right now, and I don't have a computer set up with it, so I can't demonstrate it. I'll demonstrate it for you another time. But it's very, very loud, and it actually uses oil to lubricate the ribbon, so it smells slightly awkward, slightly oily when you print things out. But it goes away. Once it dries away, that smell goes away. And yeah, it does pretty well. It still functions. I actually had to clean it up badly. There was some little rubber stoppers on there that's supposed to help glide the paper through, and they had literally just melted. So I had to replace those with like little cork stoppers from the dollar store, or the Hyakuen store, as you call them in Japan. And then get some oil to lubricate the ribbon, but that does work. It took a lot of effort, but it does work. So yeah, so that's it. That's my PC, my classic retro PC collection here. And you'll see more stuff later on about my other video game stuff, including my big TV over there. Well, it's not that big, but big enough, with Switch and PS3 and PS4 and all that kind of stuff. And then also my classic consoles, which you'll see at another time. So, this is PC98, and if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I like this kind of stuff. And actually, I will be doing a podcast. I'm working on putting it together right now. You will get more information about that later, as I have more specific details. But it's going to cover a lot of Japanese systems, a lot of Japanese games, old consoles, old computers, and so on. I've got some fun little surprises in store for you, so please check that out and enjoy it. This is kind of a companion piece to that, so when it comes out, I will tell you more. For now, Luna says goodbye.